Yo, 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 what is going on? My beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love. My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix. This is going to be your astrology forecast for Tuesday, August 15th of 2023. I appreciate your patience. My internet had been out since 4 p.m. yesterday and it came back on just recently. Now, I was going to actually do this from my cell phone as well, but I was holding out to see if I could do it this way because I prefer to do it this way. I prefer to give you guys the astrology and actually show you guys the chart and everything. But sometimes, when things don't go exactly the way that we plan, we do have backups and we do have other resources that we can use to get across the same thing, get across our message, and to still get the work done. But I do appreciate your patience. I know this is a little bit later for it coming out and stuff. But we are here, you know what I'm saying? And it's all good. So let's take a look at these transits today, shall we? So, of course, we are still building up to that new moon, which is going to happen at 23 degrees. Now, I think this technically happens Wednesday, if not like really late tonight. Being that it's 8 degrees away at this point, it takes them about 2 hours to move a degree, so 16 hours. Yeah, so this is going to be more of a tomorrow aspect when we actually reach the new moon. Now, what's also interesting about today is that, of course, we do have the Sun and Uranus square, which is going to come into its exact square today. This is happening at the same time that Mars is trining Uranus too. And remember when I was talking about the whole 4 energy, we still have that going on. 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4, 4. So we have a lot of energy around that vibration, around the 4 vibration. And it's kind of interesting too. Like I said, 4 numerology is Uranian energy. It is this energy where it talks about kind of like belonging, but it also deals in many ways with our uniqueness, and it deals with sort of like alien-like stuff too, things that kind of come out of nowhere. You know what I mean? So yeah, this is definitely going to be a day. As this moon travels throughout Leo and it gets to the conjunction with the sun, it's going to conjunct Venus today as well. So this is going to be the first time that we're going to have the moon conjunct Venus after the Cazimi, and of course after the first sun conjunct Venus only in Leo in over 200 years. So yeah, this is a pretty big deal. And the moon and Venus, they like being with each other, right? Venus rules Taurus, moon is exalted in Taurus. So the moon and Venus definitely get along. And, now that these energies are going to meet up in Leo, it's definitely going to be this moment where it's like we've already kind of gotten the vision and the purification with the sun. Now the emotions are going to finally kind of catch up to it, and we're going to start to be able to emotionally understand why certain things have happened the way that they did, why certain people may have, like I said, it's a purification moment. So it wasn't a very comfortable moment. The sun conjunct Venus, even though it's a very powerful moment, it kind of gives a Phoenix rising kind of deal, where you're just kind of burning away the impurities so you can get to the pure rawness of this energy, right? And now that we got the moon here, it's definitely going to invoke, this sort of deeper sense, a sort of emotional sense that, when we really do value ourselves, when we value our creativity, our passion, when we value ourselves and we put ourselves out there, you'll attract the right people and the right situations into your life. You know what I'm saying? So now, of course, like I said, we are still dealing with the sun, which is going to be squaring Uranus today. It's been squaring Uranus for the last little bit. Today, it's going to come exact the square to Uranus. And this is still, things kind of coming out of nowhere, you know what I mean, with the Uranus Sun square. This is the sun in that third decan of Leo, which is ruled by Mars, and Uranus in that third decan of Taurus, which is ruled by Saturn. Whereas Mars and Saturn, oh, well, Mars is at 22 degrees, so there's a 4, and Saturn is at 4 degrees of Pisces, so there's another 4 too. So there's a lot of energy coming back to that particular number. It's very interesting. And it's funny, just as soon as I said that, the time on the live said 444, just as soon as I said that. So there's a lot that is coming back to 4 energy. 4 is also a energy of stabilization. Think about it. Four wheels on a car. A lot of animals have four legs. You know what I mean? If like say if you're like you know if you have like just like a square, if you will, it's like you have the four corners. So it's a very esoteric number. It's a very interesting number. So you have like say you have like the box you have which rounds off something, even though it's like a circle, but it's like with straight lines and stuff like that. So there's a lot that's coming around to this, and in many ways, what's happening here is that there are in many ways some new boundaries that are being set, where we're looking, at our value structure. We're looking at, of course, Mars is definitely trying to figure some things out in Virgo and is feeling the need to act on these things, right? Mercury, which is going to be coming retrograde here shortly too, trying to catch up to Mars, but it's not going to catch up. This is about as close as Venus is going to get to Mars. It's about 3 degrees. So, there's this element where we really are trying to like catch up to the action. It's almost sort of like there's this feeling where it's like if Mercury could catch up to Mars, and actually deliver that message to Mars, that maybe, just maybe, we will have the information that we need to move forward. It's not going to quite get there, but Mars is still going to keep going. So there's this element where there's a level of trust that comes into this. There's a level of like, we have to have faith that the actions that we are taking are going to lead us to the promised land or lead us to wherever it is that we're trying to go to in life. It's not going to quite catch up. There's still some things that we're going to have to figure out with that Mercury retrograde here, right? And of course, when it retrogrades, it's going to go over the sun too. So there's, the sun is catching up to Mercury as well. So that'll be another moment in many ways of kind of like the purification. Even though Mercury is the closest to the sun, there's going to be that as well. So there's a lot of building and budding energy right now. And that's generally how the astrology works. It kind of builds up. You have like these major moments, and then it seems like it simmers down, but then it builds up, and it's a wave, right? It's a wave. Just like the Aquarius symbol. It's a sine wave. There's a reason why Aquarius rules astrology in many ways. Just astrology itself, Aquarius, that's what it rules. So but of course, we can come back to this Leo energy with Moon, Venus, Black Moon Lilith, and the Sun. It's interesting, though, that we are going to have this new moon with Black Moon Lilith on top of it. So this is definitely going to be a lot about overcoming our fears and having the courage to move forward in the face of danger, in the face of evil, in the face of our own shadows, in the face of the shadows of the disappointments of us not expressing our creativity and not really being in our heart space, not living from our heart. There's going to be some fears that come up around there, especially with Venus here too. It's retrograde, and now of course we're pretty much halfway through the retrograde now, right? So I mean, if you made it to this point, pat yourself on the back, because this has not been the easiest of retrogrades, when it comes to relationships too. And of course, we have Mercury here at the same degree, 19 degrees. So they're in semi-sextile, and they're making an aspect over to Chiron. Venus, which is trining Mercury, which is quincunx. It's interesting. It's like there's a lot of positive energy, a lot of energy that's encouraging us to move forward, to stay inspired, to stay motivated, even though things seem crazy and way out there and it's unpredictable. But then there's also, this element's like, yeah, even though it's unpredictable, even though it's crazy, even though things are shaken up, you can still move forward and you can still find reasons to be grateful every day and find reasons to be happy every day. That's not to say that you need to become complacent, because it's definitely not a complacent kind of energy. We have to learn how to balance being grateful for what we have, but also striving for what we know we are worth. And that's really what it comes down to. So as we move, throughout the day, this, and that's the other thing too. I forgot to mention that the moon was actually is actually going to square over to Jupiter today as well. So, once again, now this is kind of a nice mutual reception, because the moon will be in the decan ruled by Jupiter, and the moon is exalted in Taurus, which is where Jupiter is. So this is actually not really a bad square. I think this really, especially since it's going to be at 14 degrees, this is going to be Yeah, it's pretty much going to be at 14 degrees. So 1 plus 4 is 5, which comes down to the Gemini energy, and it's more mercurial in nature. And Jupiter happens to be in the decan, ruled by Mercury here too. So this is actually going to be a very interesting square. I think this is going to be like, shoot, like, are you actually willing to communicate your values? Do you actually feel that you are, worthy of your own light? You know what I'm saying? Do you feel like you are worthy of your own light? And are you willing to communicate that and express it and to show it and push it out? Jupiter is wanting to expand that. So like if you know your worth and stuff like that, and you're willing to express that, if you're willing to have the courage and bravery to really be who you are and express it, you know what I mean? Jupiter is going to come in and expand that, and it's going to bring resources. It's going to bring financial upcomings. It's going to bring a level of opulence. It may not necessarily. I'm not saying that you're going to just like win the lottery today, or who knows? But who knows? Maybe you will win the lottery, or maybe you will get that client today because you had the courage to express. So it's like, what, I am worth this. You know what I mean? This is sort of one of those things where like you may even feel challenged. Someone may challenge you and be like, all right, so tell me why you are worth this rate, or why you are worth this thing, whatever. Like, say if you're like giving like a service, and you have to like have like this unwavering, confidence in yourself. It's like, no, this is the reason why I'm worth these things, A, B, C. And it's just like that. And Jupiter will be like, okay, all right, cool, here you go. But if we get too caught up in trying to like get overly PC about it or political about it, if we become a little almost too humble about what we bring to the table, then people might start to look at us with the side eyes like, I don't know, they're not really feeling themselves. This is going to be this moon square in Jupiter. It looks like it's earlier in the day, mind you, but it's definitely going to be one of those moments where it's like, all right, are you really feeling yourself? Because people can sense that confidence, just like animals can sense animals can sense fear, or they can sense that you have a gentle soul or a gentle spirit, like cats can do that. So this is more, it's going to bring more of like an instinctual aspect to this, especially since this is Taurus energy. Aries, Taurus, especially, and a little bit of Gemini, but Aries, Taurus, and I'll even say Leo. I'm thinking of like the signs that are kind of ruled more by animals. So you have the ram, you have the bull, you have the lion. Especially these animals, they're a little bit more instinctual. You know what I mean? So it's like you can talk about we talk about intuition, but intuition is more like it's Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, a little bit of Sag. You know what I'm saying? That's more intuition, right? Instinct is a different thing. Instinct is like you can feel almost into their energetic field. You can feel into their toroidal field, and you can just sense either danger, or you can sense that someone is scared. You can sense that someone is confident. You can sense that someone is really on their shit and they actually know what they're doing. This comes down to also like body language and body clues and stuff like that. So that's the other thing about this that we want to consider, especially with it being Mercury, which is the sign of which is the planet of communication in Taurus, where all this is happening. That people are going to be definitely reading a lot more into body language, your facial expressions, and how important this is. So if you are approached today, and maybe you're trying to, maybe you have like a service that you're providing or something, or maybe someone has a task that they want you to do, and they want to have the confidence that you can do it. This is definitely one of those moments where you want to really just like be confident, show that you can do it, and be like straight up about it, just unwavering. That's the kind of energy. And if you show that unwavering, it's like, I got this, I can handle this, I got this, then Jupiter is going to be willing to give and will be willing to expand and actually like increase your sense of wealth, like internally, financially, emotionally. That's kind of the nice thing about this. But you have to have that confidence. And of course, look at this. The moment that this happens, Uranus moves to 23 degrees. So 2 plus 3 is 5. There's a harmonic energy there. And the part of fortune is at 14 degrees of Libra, which that's more of a calculation, mind you, but it still gives you that harmonic. And the part of fortune is like, it's like the little fortune, right? It's like kind of like the, I kind of look at the part of fortune. I mean, you look at it, it's like an X in a circle, which this is technically like the glyph of the earth just turned on its side. So in many ways, it does speak to, you know, us expressing our own X factor and using that X factor to gain some type of up and comings, whether it can be financially, whether or not someone just acknowledges you or someone like sees the value in you. That's really what this comes down to. But in order to really see our X factor, we have to, like I said, we have to kind of alter our view of the world around us and really kind of, it's more of like an internal thing. We have to go within ourselves and find that own X factor so we can get our part of the fortune, if you will, because there's enough to go around. There's enough to go around, but the only way that you're going to really find it is by going within. So, and it's happening in the sign of Libra. So yeah, it's going to come in many ways through relationships, relatability. This 14 degrees. It's going to be sextiling the moon. You know what I mean? It's going to be quincunxing Jupiter. You know what I'm saying? So we have a nice little harmonic of the 5 energy along with the 4 energy. 5, 5, 5, 5. And then we have 4. And then we have another 4 right here. And then we have another 4 right there. So definitely it's interesting. Even though we don't have a lot of air energy, the air energy is coming in a more subtle way because we don't have any really thing in Aquarius. We have the minor asteroid Vesta in Gemini. And then we have a calculation in the part of fortune, the minor asteroid Ceres over here in Libra and the South Node. So where are we getting the air energy from? Well, a lot of the air energy, it's Mercury is in Virgo, so it's an earth sign. We have Uranus, which is a Taurus, and that's an earth sign. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, you have Venus, which was Libra, which is in a fire sign. So, and it's retrograde. This is sort of like that moment where it's like we're trying to almost get the fireworks to work, but there's malfunctions. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, the fireworks look pretty from afar, but when you get up close, you're dealing with the pyrotechnics of everything and stuff, and you're trying to have like this wonderful, beautiful display, but there are some delays. There are, just like with this recording today, there's some delays. There's things that are getting pushed back. There's some weird things. Maybe the internet's gone out. You know what I'm saying? So the air energy is coming a little bit more subtly. It's going to come in the form of the numerological aspect. That's what I was trying to say of the day, right? So as you, of course, move this moon throughout the day, by the time it's going to be around 18 degrees. Yeah, so come the end of the day, we're going to have this moon that's going to conjunct Venus here at 18 degrees, right? And this is really important. This is definitely going to be, this is definitely going to be a moment that should inspire you. Why? Well, you do have 1, which is the sun. You have 8, which is Saturn. And then you have 9, which is Mars. So the sun, your heart, right? Creativity, passion. 8, Saturn, direction, structure, making decisions, netting to a 9, which is Mars, which is action. So especially with the fact that this is going to be after the Cazimi that happened with the sun and Venus and is purifying, this is going to be a moment where it's like you are going to be inspired by your heart and make a decision and take sort of action leading up to this new moon. But the action probably won't necessarily happen until the actual new moon. This, in many ways, is the official kickoff of Leo season, despite the fact that once this new moon happens, we're only going to have 7 more days. But this is really when it starts to really kick into gear. Not only that, but with the new moon, with Black Moon Lilith having moved past the sun, it's like the new moon happens and then immediately we face our first challenge, right? Because it's like you're going to be imbued with this newfound power. It's like, okay, I really am about this. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pursue this thing. Maybe things didn't happen the way I thought they're going to happen, but I did ask for this. And I think that's what it comes down to. In my personal life, I noticed that it's like, well, I did ask for this, right? I did ask for this. It didn't happen the way I thought. And maybe, I was a little bit more emotionally reactive than I necessarily wanted to be. But I don't think me being as reactive as I was necessarily unsubstantiated, because I had a lot of things to substantiate why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. You know what I mean? And I didn't do anything super rash or anything, because I could have. This is in regards to like my day job. I didn't do anything super rash, and I could have, but I didn't. You know what I mean? But I expressed my opinion. I expressed how I was feeling. I was honest about it, and now it's kind of moving to a point where it's almost like a no hard feelings kind of deal. But I did ask for this. I think a lot of us are in that stage where we asked for something, and the universe is giving it to us, and we're complaining about the way that's been given to us. This building up to this new moon, and this moon coming over Venus should be it will be an opportunity for us to accept the way that things have come into our life, to embrace the way that it came into our life, and to see like, hey, well, I made it here. I manifested this, which means I'm a vibrational match for this, and it's something I've been striving for and working for, and now it's here. That just means that I'm on the right path. But that's the thing. When you go on a new journey and stuff like that, what did you expect? Did you expect to not come across, you know, the ogres and the orcs and the demons and the dragons and this person and that NPC and this side quest and that side quest? You know what I'm saying? When you start up a new game that you've never played before, you know what I mean? That's part of the adventure, is the random things that happen along the way. Unless you read like a whole guide, like a full immersive guide on how to play the game beforehand. But this is like we're all entering into a new game, a new narrative, a new story. So of course things are going to come out of nowhere. Of course there's going to be twists and turns, and of course the story is going to be dynamic because it's not playing off the same rules as the old story. It's a new story. It's a new narrative. So as soon, of course, after we come off of this conjunction of the moon and Venus, which I think will be a very positive conjunction, mind you. And of course, it's trining over to Chiron too. So we definitely want to utilize our unique quirks, because I like to look at Chiron as like a quirk instead of like a wound that will propel us to, move forward and finding new ways to use the quirk. You know what I'm saying? If you have like you find new ways to use the quirk. I was thinking just like in My Hero Academia, where Deku, he had to like innovate and find new ways to use his quirk. Like when he was like putting all the power of focusing in his finger and then pushing it out, and then it will create this massive blast of energy, but it broke his fingers. That's the kind of thing about this too. So it's like, some of y'all maybe feel like this. Maybe you channeled all of your power energy into something, but then it kind of breaks you in a sense. Well, this is going to be an opportunity where it's like, well, we don't have to let it keep on breaking us. You know what I mean? We can find new ways to use these superpowers so it doesn't just break us every single time, right? I think this also comes down to knowing how to recuperate and recover. That's the other part about this. It's like we're getting serious about doing the work or the spiritual work, but then we also have to get serious about our recover and recuperation. That's the other aspect of this too. And I think a lot of that honestly has to do with the Pisces energy, with Saturn and Neptune here. Because first of all, since the timing is just way off with all these energies, but Pisces does in many ways teach us how to recover and to recuperate. In my personal belief, I think that the way that society probably should be, kind of structured, if you will, is that once we get to Pisces season, we almost go into a bit of like a hibernation, if you will, as a society. We can't just close down everything, right? But we go into a bit of a hibernation type period, so we can kind of go within and go into those spiritual realms. And because we just went through all 11 signs, right? And then you get to Pisces, which has a little bit of energy from every single sign, and then you have to process all this energy. And that's the thing too. Most people celebrate the new year in Capricorn season, and really it should be in Pisces season, right? Most people are taking their rest at here when this is when you should be putting in more work. You know what I'm saying? Right? And Aquarius is when you test it out and see like how it lands with people. And then Pisces is when you like, okay, you reassess, you recover, you recuperate, and then bam, you pop back onto the scene with Aries. But society isn't structured that way because it's off kiltered, and it doesn't flow with how nature actually is. So let's get into the cards for today. Give this deck a good shuffle. Oh, a lot of cards just came out. Oh, let's get those back in. Let's keep going. It's like 7 cards just like flew out or something. All right. Yeah, I have the 3 of Pentacles right here, but it is in reverse. So I got the 3 of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, this is definitely a day where we can feel the realignment already happening. You know, I've been talking about this realignment of like the tribes and the groups that we are part of, the company that we keep. This 3 of Pentacles is definitely sort of like a realignment. This also can be, maybe, the people that you are, associating with, maybe they don't necessarily see the value that you bring to the table. Maybe they don't, maybe they underestimate what you bring to the table, which is why I think having that confidence to be like, no, this is what I bring to the table, I think that's why that's really important, so you want to say it's going to be more of an instinctual kind of energy. And I think that's where a lot of people are actually fucking up right now, is because they're trying to use their intuition right now. And it's really more of an instinctual time, so I think that's the thing. That's what this is about. Like, being able to sense whether someone is really confident or whether someone is scared or afraid, or if they know their shit and they present themselves in a way and they have that air of confidence about them. The 3 of Pentacles in reverse is like, just be wary of your energy and your vibration, because your vibe does attract your tribe, This is followed by, we have the 8 of Pentacles in reverse too. So this is definitely a moment where we don't really want to doubt the work that we've been putting in. If you've been kind of if you've been like in the lab, if you will, working on your craft, and you feel like you don't have anything to show for it, honestly, just keep going. This is definitely not a moment to stop. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to draw one more card too. We have the 2 of Pentacles in reverse. So anytime I get all reversals, you can read it both ways. But the 2 of Pentacles in reverse is saying that, once you fix the balancing issues right now in your life, because the 2 of Pentacles, he's juggling like the 2 Pentacles, so it comes down to balance. So you have to find that balance. You have to find the balance of valuing yourself and what you bring to the table, and then of course what table that you are trying to bring it to isn't, and if it's worth bringing it to. Are you putting too much of yourself into this? Is there an imbalance? Are you not getting paid enough? Once we fix this balance, everything else will come into play. You'll find the right people to connect with. You'll find the right projects to work on, and you'll definitely will feel like you have something to show for it. So the Sacred Geometry card of the day. Let me go ahead and at least shuffle this one time. I wasn't going to, but let me just shuffle at least one time. We have the card of Transition. This card's been coming up a decent amount lately. The frequency of transition supports our deep understanding of the ever-changing nature of existence in our lives, so that we can learn to let go, surrender to the process, and allow the transition to occur with ease and grace. Yeah, so I think once we learn, like I said, to balance these energies out, to kind of balance, putting ourselves out there, doing the work, but also knowing when to recuperate and to relax and to chill, and to enjoy our leisure time. I think there's an element here where some of you guys may feel like maybe you have been doing a lot of the work and you feel like you haven't been giving yourself any rest either, so it's like, make sure that you take time to, of course, put in the hard work, but also take time to have your leisure activity, and don't put yourself down and feel like you're less valuable for that. We live in a culture right now where you see a lot of it where you see both sides of the spectrum, where people are not wanting to work at all, and some people are like, you got to work 80 hours and that's the only way you're going to be successful. It's not the case. It's somewhere in the middle, right? Because not working at all, it's like you got to have something to work for. You have to have something to live for, right? I mean, even if I won the lottery, I'm not going to just stop working. I may travel the world, but I'm not going to just stop working because that's just boring. But if I'm working 80 hours a week and I'm sacrificing time with my friends, my family, and my loved ones, and giving myself time to recuperate just so I can make more and more and more and more money, but I have nothing to really spend the money on, and no one to share in the opulence, no one to share in the abundance with because I'm constantly working, that's not a life worth living either. So we have to find some way to balance those two. And as you can see with this, you can see the transition, right? It's sort of like it's a sine wave, right? It's one of the waves in the Aquarius symbol. So we have to, we have to allow ourselves to kind of morph and change with the universe. If you ask for something and the universe delivered it, but there's a little bit of hesitation with that, the universe is going to sense that, and then you don't want to take it out of your life. If you ask for something and you've been given that, accept it, embrace it, and keep moving. Even though it may not feel necessarily super comfortable, even though it may not happen the way that you thought it was going to happen, it's here, it's present. So embrace that gift from the universe. So that is going to do it for your astrology forecast today. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. And if you'd like a personal reading with me, beloved, you can follow the link in the description below to my website, jphoenix.com. As always, y'all take care, stay blessed, and I'll see y'all on the next video. Peace.